I mean, my main thing is like, I never, no matter how much stuff we're kind of throwing, I never want to get too far away of like, from really brutal, really nasty stuff, right? Like I love, for me, Slugchild is at its best when it's like mixing, I'm going to do my best to do a really beautiful vocal line, but then it's got to also be followed up with just, really aggressive, mean sounding stuff, because that's what I want is like both.
Yeah, that's the meat and potatoes.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Metal Maniacs Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Ingersoll, and I'm here with a man that witnessed his first rainbow in the dark last night.
What's up, Jay? It's your boy, Mod.
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
I am just a rainbow in the dark.
Yes, you are.
I wore color today. If light's a color.
So today, we have a band that I got the fortune to play with before, but I've really been digging into the music over the last couple weeks. These guys, I would like to say, are the slimy bastard child of the extreme metal scene in Michigan, and I mean that in the best way possible.
Oh, so we take it that way.
I'm glad you clarified.
So, welcome to the show, Slugchild.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, man.
Hey, thanks for driving out here. Appreciate it. I know it's a cold fucking winter day, but
it's all good.
But we appreciate you guys coming through. I do have a little background with you guys. My band a few years ago or a year and a half ago, we were kind of talking about this jam with you guys, and I was not privy to what you guys did, but you guys fucking shredded, and I was like blown away with how sweet you guys were. And then we got to listen to someone sent in one of the songs to listen to on the podcast.
Tumbled Nest, right?
Yep. And so really got to take that in because sometimes you see a band live and you only get whatever you get live, right? Like you don't. There's not enough to take in, especially with how intricate your guys' music is. How much there is to it. But I do know you guys shred, and then when we listened to the song, we really enjoyed it. And then I've been spending a lot of time the last couple of days listening to your music. So
when we reacted to the song that they sent in, and then I posted the clip, I went to their Bandcamp and I just let the whole thing play out, and I was fuck yeah, this. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Like I normally maybe would only listen to like the song again before I post a clip just to familiarize myself with what the fuck happened on that clip. But with you guys, I was like, let this whole fucking thing roll. I'm gonna sit here and listen to it and just doom scroll while I Slugchild it out here. So yeah, I love this band.
That was Addison who recorded that for us.
Sounded great.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good record. That's Wounds Untold was definitely like, like, oh man, okay. I'm proud of this,
You should be. I mean,
nice.
Everything about it is dope. From all the variation on the songs to the cover art, man. I was just bobbing my head too.
Oh man,
I'm glad you like the cover art.
Stuff.
Yeah. People were giving us some shit saying it was a AI shit ass cover. I'm like, it was not an AI cover. A lot of work went into that.
What's awesome about that cover, and we'll dive into the album a little bit more, but what I love about that cover is it encompasses what I just heard. And I love when a band can capture that. And I'll talk a little more about that because of the whole aesthetic of the band. And I know, Kent, you do like the video stuff and that right too. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But before we jump into all things Slugchild, let's just go around the table, start here, say what your name is and what you do in the band. That way when people are listening, they know what they're hearing or who they're listening to.
Yeah. I'm Kent. I play guitar and bass sometimes, and I scream sometimes, but it hurts my throat, so I don't do it too much.
and acoustic.
An acoustic. Yeah.
I mean, that's a guitar, so.
It is a guitar.
I'm John. I play guitar and also play bass, kind of, sort of. Live, sort of, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
In a way.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. We can delve into that later, but that's what I do. And a little bit more, but.
Is there a new guy?
I'm the new guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's earned his spot. He's good. I'm David. I drum and I sing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm Cody. I am the vocalist.
Hell yeah.
Sweet.
I do most.
Hell yeah.
Well, some to most of the lyricism, and then
Depends,
kind of a collaborative effort in that regard.
Nice. Hell yeah.
You don't dabble in the bass as well?
You know, there was a moment where I picked it up and I was like,
Dave does. He
After
uses
after a
keyboard,
few
though.
beers at the end of practice,
Oh, yeah.
you know, when I go to the bathroom, I hear my guitar from the
Right.
other room. Like, that's Cody.
When you hop on the drum throne, he hops on the bass.
Yes.
As
Well,
guitarists
John is
Yeah.
hopping on
We
the
just always do
drum throne,
sad
yeah.
but true with a lot of blast beats
Yeah.
for some reason.
There's always one in the band, the guitar player that wished he played drums. I'm
Yeah.
that guy in my band.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
You know.
Oh man.
But yeah, so let's kind of start at the beginning here. Why don't you tell me a little bit about the band just up until the demo that you guys put out, released on July 30th? So just that little section, kind of how you guys got together.
I'm gonna
the
be learning
inception
here
of the
too,
band.
shoot.
Yeah. So I genuinely started it like my wife was like, "Dog, you practice all the time and you don't play with anybody. Start a band." So I got together with a dude who was like trying to revive a metalcore band. That kind of fell apart. That's when I met Cody off a Craigslist ad.
yeah.
And then we were jamming for a while. No name, just kind of in his basement trying to figure out what we wanted to do.
Just drums and vocals?
No,
Oh.
we had a couple other guitarists,
gotcha.
but it was just jam sessions,
Okay.
you know, yeah. And then I started to write some stuff. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, so, you know, the early stuff was pretty rudimentary, and my writing definitely needed help early on. But I put another Craigslist ad out for a guitarist and a bassist, and Kent responded. And how long were you driving to practice?
Oh man, I was living in Kalamazoo, driving to Grand Rapids. I mean,
Yeah.
I did that for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, it was like an
that
hour.
was-
Wow.
He would
Yeah.
drive over to fucking storage unit in Walker, and that's where
Oh, yeah.
that's where we started. That's where we recorded the demo, and you know, it was it was a time. It was fine. You know,
It's mostly just been me, Dave, and Cody with a
Yeah.
rotating. I feel like John's going to be here for a while, but
I hope so.
before
I hope
him,
so.
we've had a number of people that have
Yeah.
played bass. We had second guitar player for one practice,
Yep.
I think, and then a bunch of. I remember Pat was or whatever his name is.
Yeah, Pat. No, Pat recorded the demo and kind of just went MIA, and then we had Lucas
Well,
for a while.
Well, he
and he that was we don't need to talk about Lucas very much. He was listen, you know, I'm not trying to badmouth anybody. It just kind of didn't work out.
Yeah,
so,
it just
yeah,
didn't work. And that's the
Yeah.
best way to put it.
Yeah.
And usually I'll be very transparent. I like to be honest on the show. I listen to you guys' music from like beginning to the newest thing
Yeah,
you have
okay,
out, just
cool.
to kind of see your transition. Nick usually does it opposite. He kind of starts at the new stuff and works
Sure.
his way backwards. But the demo, I just don't think the demo really did anything to give you guys the kind of band you guys is justice. So I tried to give the demo a listen, but it's
Fair.
just like so much. You really kind of almost have to already know what's going on to kind of
yeah.
hear what's going on, you know,
it's-
because you guys are just so complex and there's so much there.
Yeah.
So, and then that came out in 2021. So did you guys form in like around 2021?
Yeah,
then?
2020.
Okay.
I think
October,
it was.
I started hanging
As soon as they
out.
started letting us out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
basically,
pandemic
so,
kind of.
yeah.
That was
Well, 2020. I mean, it was still.
Oh, yeah, it
it
was
was
still
still
lockdown.
in the middle of
So I'm
the
thinking
pandemic. Yeah,
2021 is when they started letting us out, right?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
so. I
Summer.
think we had our
Yeah.
first show in 2021, or was it
Yeah, it
2022?
was. It was October 2021. Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
A,
yeah,
it was a Halloween show. That I'm
was
honestly
one
our
of the
first show
shows.
was it was super fucking cool. It was Room 101.
Cool band.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. They're genuine homies.
Yeah.
I talk with their drummer all the time.
Me
Chris
too.
is
Love
Chris
Chris.
is a really sweet dude. And
Tho-
then,
those guys are sweet.
Yeah.
We listened to one of their
Yeah.
songs on the show. I was really
That,
impressed.
They
I did the
rule.
music video for that
yeah,
song
it's really
too.
fucking
I
sweet, dude.
Yeah.
listened to that song a million times and never
Yeah.
got tired of it.
It's
It's
Yeah.
just
so
so
good,
heavy.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
good.
them Pickaxe Preacher was the headliner. They were
They're
really
great, too.
tight.
I've
And then
seen them before a few times.
yeah,
Yeah.
their drummer was really nasty. And then
Bog Wizard.
Bog Wizard.
Okay,
Yeah,
the bog.
yeah.
The bog. Yeah.
The freaking bog, dude.
We've only played with
I was
yeah.
gonna say we
Yeah.
know about the bog too.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
we've only played with them once, but I mean they're awesome.
Yeah,
they're
they're
great.
cool.
dudes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I like them.
Cast a little bit too many spells.
Yeah.
Felt a
Other
little
than
too
that.
bogged down after
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
And then you guys did Live at
This is
Airport
good.
Records. That was released November 6, 2021. So not too long after the
Yeah.
demo. There's on your Bandcamp it says recorded what songs we had finished straight to cassette, live as a band, love it or
Yeah.
hate it. So
Yeah.
It was I mean, listen, it was recorded for $100 and it sounds like it. And it was recorded at an abandoned factory in Grand Rapids, like there's an industrial park near the freeway entrance off of Franklin, and we were kind of close with one of the dudes there at the time. It was Mooch Globe, I think that was their practice space.
Okay, yeah.
They're just like a punk band.
Yep. Very familiar with them too.
Yeah, I mean, we recorded it, and we at that point we had gotten kicked out of the storage unit, so we didn't have a permanent place to be. So we would just like pack in, pack out of this like very smoky room, and
It's horrible.
it was tough. Yeah, that
Shared
was
it with a bunch of junkies across the hall.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
Yeah, that was a weird time. Then Murph, the owner of Skeletones, I was talking with him, and he offered to let me keep my my drums in Skeletones, just under the stage. And God, was that like a year that we were doing that?
Yeah, we did the storage unit for about a year. We did Airport Records for about a year.
Yeah.
And then we did Skeletones for about a year too.
It was a lot better. It was still kind of tough because I had to like break down and set up my stuff like multiple times a week. But I mean, just it was something. And then my in-laws moved, and then my dad or my father-in-law's a drummer, and so we split a space down at the Fortress.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that's where we've been since, and that's great. That's like really nice. But that's where we've recorded all the drums for the most recent EP was just in the practice space.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. I think were we still at Skeletones when we recorded the full length?
Yeah, I think we were in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a couple rehearsals there leading up into recording.
Yeah.
So then that brings us to, there was almost a year and a half gap.
Yeah.
And then Wounds Untold was released August 11th, 2023. So like I said, this is the piece that I'm most familiar with. It was recorded by Addison.
Yeah.
Good friend of ours, good friend of the show. Sounds sick as fuck. Mastered by Brad Boatwright at Audio Siege. I felt like everything sounded incredible, but you really made your drum shine on that.
Right.
Like, I could tell the caliber of drummer you are when I listened to this record because of all of the intricacies and all the crazy shit that you did. He also had nothing but good things to say about you guys when he was on the show both times. He was just on the show a couple, actually his episode just came out this past week, but he's a dear friend of ours. But he said you guys were ready.
Yeah.
He said you guys were ready to go.
We were ready. The first two releases, I mean, it's tough when you start out because you don't really know what you're doing, but you have music and you want to get it out there. Mm-hmm. You want people to listen to it, and you want it to be in a good format. And the first release, Lucas, our original bass player, did it. And there's stuff about it that I like, and there's stuff about it that I don't like. Some of the songwriting's not quite there. Some of it is. There's some cool stuff, and then we hoped with Airport Records we had a couple more songs, and we hope it would have more of a live feel, but it didn't. It was the guy who ran Airport Records, I think he wanted to experiment with recording, and that was just all it was. It never sounded that good. I mean, the conditions we recorded it under weren't very good. I remember you, by the end of the day, couldn't even breathe to sing because it was so smoky in there.
It was nuts.
It was just a big box.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out. So when we finally got around to doing Wounds Untold, I mean, we were very well rehearsed, and Lucas, our bass player, I mean, he had learned and done most of those songs with us live, but when it came time to record, we had just let him go. It just didn't work out, so I had to go ahead and learn all the parts for that song, which, as a guitar player who wants to control everything, like, it was nice to be able to control all the strings on the entire album.
Nice.
So that was interesting. But
I mean, you learned that you picked up bass in 2 months.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's easy. Anybody can do it.
Yeah.
Literally anybody.
This fucking guy.
No, of course we had to make it difficult and stuff and play it like a guitar player would play it.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that you did it, I don't know. It was the first time I had really done like a real studio recording, and I was a basket case because I'm like a real. I don't think of myself as a freak perfectionist, but I am.
I get that.
A healthy level of it.
Don't tell him.
Oh, healthy.
I let it go. Right. I reel it in a little bit if he needs it, but it's good to have a little bit of perfectionism.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No,
for
sure. Is it Kent?
Yeah.
Did you approach the bass lines with like a bit of a different outlook, or did you just file them in with the guitar playing?
Well, like
you're basically mimicking the other guy's work already.
kind of like Lucas had a bigger pedal board than I did. Okay. So like whenever he was doing bass, I mean, he was doing a lot of flashy stuff, and sometimes some of it was cool, and some of it, I'd rather stay in the pocket a little bit. So when we did that, it was like, well, there's some space here where the bass could take a little bit of a lead, or there's a part where I like the guitar more, and I just want the bass to kind of sit in a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was, and a lot of it, like the last song on Collapsing Lung, the longest song.
Yep.
I remember we were doing the bass for that one. That was the last one we tracked bass for, and we had been going for like 9 hours or something that day, and it was exhausting doing that and trying to figure out all of that stuff. But I guess I didn't want to do it like a guitar player would do, because sometimes you see a guitar player playing bass and they're just being super flashy, and sometimes that's okay, but it's got to serve the song.
It doesn't sound good at the end of the day, and this is something Jay and I learned over the years, because I would play the copying his style. We got to shred. So Jay's shredding, and I'm like, well, I can do that too. I play with a pick, and I can trim pick.
Right.
And then like enough times hearing it back through a recorded medium, you're like, it doesn't sound good. Like the bass just needs to like hold one long note while the guitar trim picks right there. Like you got to fall into the pocket with the drums there. So I'm just wondering if you were able to like step outside of your guitar roll and say, okay, let's serve the song with the proper bass line here.
Definitely, especially on that track Tumbled Nest. I remember because Dave writes a lot of the music, and I remember the original bass line you wrote for Tumbled Nest was like, it was like a counter to the guitar part. Like it wasn't just holding it down doing the root notes. It was kind of like a different thing, and sometimes that stuff works, and then sometimes it just needs to be the root notes. So that was and that was a bonus to playing the songs live quite a bit before we did it, because I'd be like, I just don't quite like this part. Like I'd like to change it a little bit.
Oh yeah.
So
I mean that's like, I do write a lot of the stuff, but I always want to enter into it with like a sort of a loose hands-off approach, because like the reason the band's good is because of everybody in the band.
Because you're a band, You're
right.
not the Dave project or the King project or whatever.
Not at all. Like I want stuff to change, because that's where you get the magic, in my opinion.
Right.
For sure. There's always more buy-in when somebody's putting their own touch on it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I feel like with metal bass too, sometimes especially if you're a guitar player and you're just trying to play metal bass, you're just going to kind of follow the guitar. But a lot of times metal bass players, they kind of forget that you're a rhythm instrument and you need to figure out what the hell the drummer's doing. So I can lock in with the drummer sometimes too, not just play whatever the guitar is playing, because then you're just a guitar player at that point. So you got to have that kind of like balance, the dichotomy of both the rhythm and the notes.
It's a lot to think about too, because I was doing the rhythm guitar and lead guitar, and and trying to do interesting bass. Like that's a lot of different things to kind of think about.
Right.
So
Exactly.
sometimes it was just root notes, and
less is more.
Sometimes
a lot of times.
when you're the bassist, you got to decide: do I want to be in the pocket here, or do I want to kind of align more with that lead? And sometimes you wish they would just repeat a few more times. Like I want to do all the things. But
That's right.
going back to what you said earlier, and I know you're joking, but bass can be a very easy instrument to learn to play. However, I think it's a little bit more difficult to know how to utilize it, and that's kind of more where I wanted to go with it. Is like, anybody can sit here and hold like low notes all day, and then your bassist isn't really doing anything in the band. There's a lot of bands like that in metal where their bassist is barely in the mix, so you don't do anything. You're just basically mimicking like the guitar parts juxtaposed to the drum parts, right? But then end of the day, it's like if you're going to let that riff carry out 3-4 times, that bass has got to move like to another position on the fretboard. You got to move into what the melody is doing. And stand out, or just do something completely out of the box. Be like, all right, I'm going into a little riff of my own here. Hope you guys like it. I'm not stepping on your toes.
For about a year, we had Ryan from Pain Divine. He played with us.
He plays a mean bass.
Oh my gosh, it was a very fun period. I mean, he got really busy with other stuff, and we haven't talked to him in quite a while. But I still love that guy.
Great dude. Yeah,
he's a great guy.
That guy can play bass
and
for sure.
He lent a lot of good stuff to some of those songs, and he learned them so quick.
I got one good practice in with him.
Yeah,
that was about it, and then
that
he was
would have
out.
been sweet if we had made that work. But
that would have been real sweet.
That happens.
So dive in a little bit more into the Wounds Untold. First, you guys have, like, I guess you could say it's a quote: "Existence is grand and terrible. With wounds untold, we gave each their due." I love that, man. Existence is grand and terrible, but if you don't have the grandness of it, then then you don't have the terrible, and
Sure.
if you don't have the terrible, you don't have. So I just like the way you put that.
Thanks.
Starts off with Wounds Untold. Beautiful acoustic piece of music,
Thanks.
man.
Yeah.
That was
Thanks.
it was just absolutely.
Yeah.
Now you guys had the demo and the live. Is this kind of when you're starting to really feel like you're coming into your sound? Because I've noticed now, clean vocals.
Yeah.
The acoustic guitar elements. We're starting to introduce a little more melody. It seems like in this.
Yeah.
I would definitely say I think Wounds Untold and the process leading into recording it,
Yeah.
it gave us a lot to reflect on. Like
Yeah.
it was a culmination of like 3 years of like really just learning not only what we want this music to sound like, but kind of like what we didn't want, but also like who we are as people and musicians and writers. Like going back to just the process of recording, like Kent learning all the parts and then learning new parts, and working with Addison throughout that whole process. I think it gave us a lot to experiment with and like, okay, where can we push this? And the end product is just, again, that culmination of like what we worked on for so long.
Yeah.
Like those early songs were amazing. I think looking back on them, I love them in a very sentimental way. And then I listened to the recordings and I was like, we started here. And then this is very much that benchmark of like, this is the entryway to the gate forward.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Stumbling Through Haze, that was a great song. The Cold Tangled Fingers, there's some atmosphere, there's some doom. The singing is super badass. It just chills you to the bone. That's what I wrote in there because it's just this. It's a great, clean singing, but there's just this eerie atmosphere about it. And
I love doing that.
It's genuinely one of my favorite songs.
So,
yeah.
Clean vocals.
Yes.
You do cleans too?
No,
Dan?
I don't think I did any cleans on that one.
No.
I don't
But you
think
do some in the band?
I did a little bit on that track in Filth. I think that was about it.
Okay.
We used to do it live a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I did do some harsh vocals in Cold Tangled Fingers.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've done that.
Yeah, I multi-tracked. I did 3-part harmonies on all the clean singing parts. So that's the multiple voices.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And Cody, you basically stick to all the mean shit.
Yeah, definitely. That's where I shine the most. There's definitely some cleans thrown in the background. I'll like, we'll match pitch every once in a while, and it'll definitely give it a little bit more of a like weird dissonance to it. And I think that really adds a lot in Cold Tangled. Like, it was one of my favorite parts of recording that was when we really started layering voices.
Yeah.
And like, of course, up until we started recording this, I didn't know the pipes that Dave had. Like, it came right out of left field, and I was like, "This dude's
singing?
a freaking angel."
So where'd that idea get introduced then, Dave? It was like, hey, I can sing. Can we add this in?
Yeah,
Or-
I mean, it honestly kind of was that. I mean, my
was
mom.
It was 3 years of him begging to sing and us telling him to just shut up.
Not in this band.
Not in this band.
Nobody
No
wants to do
singing.
No singing.
Yeah, no singing is allowed in this band. I cannot stand singing.
I've always been like, I grew up in church and singing and stuff, and I've always liked singing, but I at that time had not figured out how to do it live.
Okay.
We tried for a long. I like the last couple of shows we did. Were really kind of the first times where it was like, okay, the singing was like audible and it worked. It took a long time, but I just thought, hey, we have the studio, why not give it a shot? So I wrote extra parts, because we had never done it up until that point. But I don't know. I just wanted to. I wanted to try it, to add another layer.
That's not something you get in a lot of newer metal albums,
right?
Especially extreme stuff. I mean, I love catchy music. I love hooks. Everybody likes hooks.
Yeah.
Even the most extreme metal people love a good hook. And I think it all has its place.
Right.
I don't think we'll ever have a track that's all clean singing.
No.
I mean, maybe.
I feel like people that don't like vocals or choruses are either lying or they're trying to be cooler than they think they are. And no disrespect. You don't like singing? Fine, I get it. Like a lot of
It's
people
got to serve the song.
fucking singing. But the older I get, like you can be so aggressive and scream all over your music, but if you just drop a chorus in all of that nonsense, like and come back to it 2 or 3 times, like that's something I'm gonna want to put your album on for after the fact. Like,
sure,
if you're just screaming through the whole thing, better be fucking good.
Yeah.
I mean, it better be like
Yeah.
next
Yeah, for
level
sure.
S-tier across the board musicianship. But choruses, man, you can strip that down, a couple of open chords, and you just sing, let the melody of the voice take it away.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it really it brings listeners back, and I think you know, do it. Like don't
Timmy
be
Borger,
afraid
man.
of clean vocals.
I mean, my main thing is like I never, no matter how much stuff we're kind of throwing, I never want to get too far away of like from really brutal, really nasty stuff, right? Like I love, for me, Slugchild is at its best when it's like mixing. You know, I'm gonna do my best to do a really beautiful vocal line, but then it's got to also be followed up with just, you know, really aggressive, mean sounding stuff. You know, because that's what I want is like both.
Yeah.
That's the meat and potatoes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We're seasoning with clean vocals, but we're talking
Yes.
meat and potatoes heavy. Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yep.
So in Filth, there was kind of a different vocal going on into that song. Was that some of your vocals?
That was
then?
definitely
Yeah,
his.
the second
Okay.
verse.
Yeah, I
That's-
noticed that. And there was kind of like a chorus. To me, that was kind of more of a catchier song, if you want to say that about your music. To me, it kind of stuck in because I think there was a part on there where you like and filth, and a couple times, so that kind of sticks with you, you know, stuff like that. Even how brutal you guys are and how intense you may get, and so many layers you throw at stuff like that really sticks out. You know, those
That
are
was-
the parts that I can really catch on to. You know,
Yeah.
and not every band. Nick and I are huge fans of songwriting, verse, chorus. Like that's the way I like to write. Just because, for one, it's easier just to write a song. I don't have to come up with 97 riffs. You know, I can take 97 riffs and write 9 albums, right? Like, so that's just the way I write. But there is a place, and there are bands out there like your band that needs to have that. You guys don't have to be verse, chorus, and that's what I like about your band with the choices and the chances that you guys take. So,
appreciate it.
you know,
Appreciate
that's one thing we always talk about songwriting and like coming back to stuff or whatever. But also, there is a place for bands like Slugchild where that's not what you guys have to do to be what you guys want to be, right?
Yeah.
So
I love that song. That one was the first song that Kent wrote start to finish in the band.
Okay, cool. Good job, Kent.
Thank you.
I mean,
good job,
it was
man.
really
Thanks, man.
the fun
no
thing
problem.
is at that time we hadn't. It was a little bit more, the songwriting process and learning new songs was like a little bit more primitive, because now it's like, well, we can record a scratch track really easily, but then it was like
Voice memos off my phone.
oh yeah, we just had to
Compressed
sit
through
down.
Messenger.
Yeah, we had to learn it like a riff at a time, and for me it was like I went from having like a MIDI click track to like, oh, we just have to sit down and practice it dozens of times. You know? Once we did it, it was like, oh my god, this is such a fun song. You know,
It took a while.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was my favorite song on that record for such a long time, especially in like learning it, because I am also a sucker for a verse chorus. Like, give me something to return to, give me something that I can like put some variance to like really let like it build from like start to finish. It's a different song. But I appreciate that we don't like do a whole lot of choruses. I would love to do some more, but
Well, so on that album, there's a run of Cold Tangled Fingers, In Filth, and then Collapsing Lung.
Yep.
And that was going to be a trilogy originally. We were going to like name it like Dissension or Stagnation, Dissension, and Ascension or something like that. So like thematically, they kind of follow suit with each other.
Right.
We were talking earlier about existence being grand and terrible. I'm not someone that likes to write like totally bleak music, like nihilistic. You know,
do.
Here for it.
You know, there's a good. Well, this is what I liked about doing that. So we wrote Cold Tangled Fingers. I did the lyrics, and me and Dave wrote the music for it. And that song is about being stagnant in your life and not growing and being stuck as who you are. And that's a nihilistic song.
Relatable.
And then and then In Filth is like I've suffered enough. I need to change, and it's like you almost die doing that stuff sometimes. You almost lose yourself. And so those are two totally bleak songs, but I felt like we could do that because in Collapsing Lung it has a positive, I guess slightly more than neutral ending to it. Like that, and that was really important to me. I mean, I don't know if anybody else picks up on that when they listen to it, but that was important to me.
Oh yeah.
Like I felt like I couldn't write totally nihilistic, hateful, angry songs without redeeming them at the end.
Sure.
Yeah.
That was
like pain
that
has
was,
a purpose.
Yeah,
I think.
exactly.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, and with the Collapsing Lung, that's completely different than the other ones. I got here like the riffs were fucking sick as fuck on it. I'll tell you that right now.
And that Dave wrote all that.
But there was some melodic. There was some melodic, more melody in that, I thought, than kind of the rest of it. And then there's like this real bluesy. There's a solo that comes in. Then there's like this bluesy kind of part, and it just kind of creeps in, but it fits perfectly. It's not like BT Band where all of a sudden we just go to a blues part, and it's like we're jamming blues or anything. It's just like there's the blues scales being used, the pentatonic, and you can kind of feel that vibe, and then it goes to the piano interlude. Then there's more clean singing, right? Yeah. Then it comes to some crazy ass black metal part at the end, and then like the whole end is like epic. So that song just takes you on a journey, and I can appreciate a good journey here and there.
Dave, quick question. What do you use again to like write all the guitar shit?
Oh, a pirated copy of Guitar Pro 6.
Okay. I want to hear like the entire album, but like as the Guitar Pro shit.
No, you don't.
I do. No, you don't. And we need to release it on Spotify.
It sounds like dog shit.
Robot AI vocals
type sound and shit. Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, he sent it to us. He's like, I got a new track. It's like 11 minutes. And he wrote the solo in it too. And I'm like, dude, what the, like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's tough to write even like lyrics to like a MIDI track. It is. There's no feeling. It's just the whole way through. Like,
It's funny though, like how he writes this, and at first you listen to it and you're like, man, what the fuck is going on here? And then like we start playing this shit, and it's like, damn, this is like a banger. This is like sick ass song.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it does when he gives it to you.
Yeah, I guess
it's a pain. It's hard to learn every time, but I've learned to trust the process because every time the song has ended up being cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I need to learn to write on a software where I can get tracks that sound, better. That don't have the worst sounding guitar and drums you can imagine.
Let's not mess up the formula too much.
I know. Right. I'm aware. Yeah.
So I do want to dive a little more into the writing process, but before we get there, because I have quite a few questions about the writing process itself. Before we get there, we'll just kind of finish up with the Wounds Untold. Is there anything else you kind of want to speak about that album?
It was. We had 3.5 days to do it in the studio. I did all of the drums in one day. It was a 9-hour day for me.
Are we doing full tracks, part by part?
Full tracks, yeah. Gotcha. There were a couple of places where, like, because I was also playing on like a pretty shitty double bass pedal. I was using my 15-year-old Iron Cobra for some of that stuff. And yeah, I mean, that was crazy. I recorded the piano part on that with my mom in her house, just like with like a Zoom recorder stuck on the grand piano. And I don't know, it was just like, it was a really insane experience because it was like, I felt so much personal pressure to like be perfect,
Right.
I think in future recordings, I'm always trying to be less like, because I was just such a like focused, intense freak about it. But I don't know. Yeah,
Addison was very helpful because I didn't go in with a really strong idea of what I wanted tonally. I kind of left a lot of it up to him just because I'm not really a gear. I don't have a lot of gear. I'm not really a tone. Like, as long as it sounds good, that's what's important. And that might not,
I'm right there with you.
That might not be good for recording an album because I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I'm sure it'll turn out good, and that's why I like having this guy because with the demo, he was better at locking in on the tone. So a lot of the tone stuff was left up to Addison, and there's stuff about it I like, and there's some stuff about it that I don't like. Overall, I am happy with it.
You didn't veto stuff that you didn't like before it was pressed? Or did you just say, for the greater good, everybody else is on board with it, I'd back off it a little bit?
They're like, looking back, I wish I had like double tracked some of the solos. I wish there were some parts where maybe the bass popped a little bit more, or maybe I had some other guitar ideas that I ended up not using. And I think just because we did it on such a short time, I know some bands work on stuff for a year.
Oh yeah,
my buddies in One with the Riverbed, like they worked on their recent album forever, and I mean, you can hear it. It sounds great.
It's a great album.
Because you put something out and then you listen to it for a month and you're like, now I hear this part. Like, stuff starts coming out. But overall, I'm happy with it. I mean, a lot of those songs. I mean, I love every song on that album.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a slapper, man. It's a great album. I listened to it 2 or 3 times right in a row. So
thank you.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
it's very good. And like I said, we'll dive a little more into the writing. I have some other questions or whatever for you too, when it comes to the writing. And then now we come to what we have, the Scars Revealed, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So this is the newest thing you guys just put out in October, right?
Yeah.
So
I brought
2
some
months
CDs
ago?
for
Yeah.
you, but they're in my car.
Okay. Hell yeah.
Sweet.
Appreciate that.
Your car.
Your car.
So this, it's basically 2 songs, but it's still like almost 20 minutes long. I mean, it's 3 songs, but the other one is just the live songs from the previous record, right?
Yep.
Collapsing Lung.
Well, it was like live in
Faintly is
studio.
Live
Yeah.
in studio, right?
Yeah,
okay.
basically. Because
Yeah.
we had to, I mean, it like literally took us how long? Like a year and a half to figure out how to play the whole Collapsing Lung live.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
for probably a year, we just did the first half of the song before the piano break. Because
Gotcha.
we never figured out how to do like a backing track, like consistently, because it's such a weird, changing.
We don't play with monitors or
Yeah.
in-ear monitors, and so if you have stuff like that, you have a soft piano part that you have to come in and play over. It just, we couldn't hear it live.
Yeah.
And so that was the one song off Wounds Untold we didn't play live all the way through.
Yeah.
Until recently.
Yeah, and I now when we play that, I do the singing part live.
Okay.
While drumming, and we figured that's good enough to re-record. Like record what we would do live. But But yeah.
Okay.
So, Dave, when you're singing, is it a headset or are you leaning into a mic on a stand?
We've done
little
both.
bit of
I have a
both.
really bad headset mic
Okay.
that just doesn't really work very well. So the last 2 times we did, or when we most recently played the Pyramid Scheme, I just did a mic and it worked better.
Worked great.
It worked pretty good. I need to get a good headset mic though.
You do. What's the boy's name from Seven Dust? He wears the headset.
Yeah, I can't think of his name right now.
Off the top of my head, I can't either. But
Great drummer. though.
I was just watching an old video of them on Tonight Show or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And he's wearing the headset.
Yeah.
And he's a busy drummer.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the whole reason is because you're gonna have to like do this drum roll, and either you got to see it or not, but you probably got to turn your body with the roll.
Right. Exactly.
So that's where the headset comes in for a drummer. Like
Oh,
if you're gonna just do hi hat, snare, kick all
Right.
night, fine. You can
Yeah.
probably lean into the mic and the stand, but
Right.
I definitely suggest the headset, even if it's. If you're a guitarist, don't do it. I'm walking out. If your guitarist is wearing a headset. Mike, I'm leaving.
Dude, we both need to get headsets now.
I'll just say this.
Get
though.
Cody a head. We all need to wear headsets now. Dude, that would go
all
hard.
of you.
What am I gonna do with my hands if I'm not holding the mic?
You're gonna just
Gesture
point
all
at
day.
everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, start dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just this the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Just
Your hands just cramped at the end of the night. You're doing this the whole time.
I think that I have deformities. Like, oh man, it's arthritis. Get up there.
Yeah, it's hard enough to sing and play guitar at the same time in a regular mic, let alone trying to play drums and then do that on top of that and try to find out where the mic's at. I'm sure you know too, Kent, when you're playing and you're like focused on this or you're jamming out. You're like, oh shit, I gotta sing. I gotta get back to the mic real quick.
I remember when I introduced the second pedal into my live lineup, and I was like, "Holy shit, I got so much to worry about."
Yeah, your brain just like kind of shuts down. And you're like, "What is this extra thing?"
It took a long time to get on stage and not be like on autopilot because I'm panicking the whole time. Like now, I can relax and enjoy it a little bit.
Right.
But, oh man, it took a long time to get like that.
Oh yeah.
So we got Scars Revealed. Like I said, it just came out. I jammed it this morning. Love Leech. I kind of felt like all of a sudden, like, wow, we're getting like it's very melodic in a few parts, like right off rip that were kind of brought back. Like it was almost like verse chorus type thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, this is new. This is I'm loving this because it's interesting. And then you guys go on your ride after that, like for the rest of however long or whatever. But I didn't know if it was the addition of John contributing to anything.
Writing wise, not really.
Oh,
no.
okay.
That's
No.
a Kent.
That's
a
a me
Kent all the
song.
way.
So when we were doing Wounds Untold, we were talking about doing that trilogy. So we had Cold Tangled and In Filth, and I wanted to do the last song. So I wrote Love Leech. Originally it was called From the Tomb, and right before I went to bring it to the band, he brought Collapsing along, and I was like, that song's better.
Got
So we're gonna
mogged,
do
bro.
that
You got
one.
mogged.
At least it was better thematically for what we were doing. So, but I knew because I think this is a real EP, like an extended play off of the LP. So originally it was going to be on Wounds Untold, and then same with Ocean Throat. Ocean Throat's one of our oldest songs. We were going to do it on Wounds Untold, but we didn't do it. So when we did this EP, we really wanted to it's kind of like all the stuff that was left over from Wounds Untold a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. So we changed the track name to Love Leech. I can't really remember why. He did all the lyrics for it, but
I think thematically, like what you were bringing to me, and kind of like when any song's brought to me, the first question I always have when it comes to writing lyrics is like, what do you want this song to say?
Yeah.
Like, I had never written in the capacity that I write now. Like, the first probably every song Dave ever brought to me or Ken ever brought to me, I was like, this is 11 minutes of just different riffs. Where's the chorus? Where do I write the purpose of the song? Where's that thesis statement?
Yeah.
And in our conversation, it was very much like what it feels to be hurt and what can you do about it? I guess would be the right offhand kind of the summary of it.
Yeah.
And it kind of changed over time of where is the song going? And then the more we wrote lyrics and the more we played it, I think the song itself kind of sings its own lyrics.
Oh yeah.
And then I just kind of find the words that fit.
Yeah.
That's the thing about songs too, is you can write the song and you may never change any of the riffs or the patterns or even the notes, but there's always, you got to play the song for 3 to 6 months, and then you start working out all those little, where am I actually going to palm mute? Where does it sound best?
Right.
Where we start letting off the palm mute for the dynamics, because you got to have some of those dynamics, and that stuff is the stuff, like you say, it starts singing itself, right? The song starts revealing itself, right? For lack of better term, but you're playing it a little bit differently, but all the notes are the same, all the parts are the same. It's just a feeling thing. After you play it so many times, you start feeling things.
Well, you start with the big picture. That's I'll write a song and I can hear the whole thing, but as you play it more, you kind of narrow in on the finer details.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the small little 3-second transition that you play sloppy and don't think about. After a while, you're like, all right, what am I actually going to do in that spot?
Yeah. I think that the more you repeat yourself within the playing of a song, the more you realize, I could change something here, because just repeating it every time gets a little boring.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're like, okay, let's change this part right here. Let's address that section, this segue, this fill, whatever, to the next riff. Or instead of doing this all 4 times, I'm going to change the second and third time to give it some variation.
I think sometimes when you do a new song, there's parts that you're right into it, but there's a little something inside your head, and you're like, you might cringe just a little bit. You're like, I don't love that. But you have to listen to that, because sometimes you can have an ego and be like, I'm just gonna keep it. But I've learned to if there's anything that stands out even a little bit, you gotta address it.
I'm the same way, dude.
You gotta listen to it.
Even if we've been playing it for 3 months, and then I'm just thinking at home, man, that part's kind of shitty. And I'll come to practice and I'll say that. I've said that before on the show many times, but I'm just like, hey, we got to change that. That part is not good. Yeah. And then they'll just kind of look at me like, well, we've been playing it this way. I'm like, yeah, well, that's the problem.
We've gotten pretty good about doing that.
That's the problem. You don't want to settle, man. You only get one chance in this dirt ball. Why are you going to put out something that you're really not?
Yeah.
Because if you go back, you record it, and you just settle, and you go back and listen to it, and you're just like, I should have fucking changed that.
Right.
I should have said something, or should have,
Point that we've made on the show too is to not be married to some of the things that
Definitely.
you write, and allow the other 3 or 4 members of the band to have a say. Hey, I don't know about you. How attached are you to this part, this section, this segment? Can we switch this up? And because the more I listen to it, the more it's just kind of throwing me off.
It's happened.
It's kind of happened.
Dave will bring a song, and then I'll smoke a lot and not do anything for a couple of days. And I'm like, hey, I threw out 3 of the riffs that you wrote, and then I added 8.
Yep.
That's extreme,
it's got a verse and chorus now.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
I think with this EP, that's one thing that I was so grateful for, is being able to reflect on the things that we left Love Leech and Ocean Throat on the cutting room floor. We didn't even bring them into the studio. We just decided before we were going to go into it, deciding we're going to do Ocean Throat. And then we got there, we're like, we won't give it enough time.
Right.
And then it let us really stew on the things that we worked on. And that was one thing, working with John to doing all of the engineering. Yeah. We had that time to not only work through every little piece that we really wanted to work through.
Yeah.
But like listen to it and then go,
Yeah.
let's change it.
Absolutely.
That was nice.
So, how involved are you, Cody, in the overall writing process and the structuring? Do you kind of like, do you guys wait to submit to Cody, or is he involved from like out of the gate almost immediately? Like, here, I'm sending this file to everybody. Like, when do you get your hands on it?
So in terms of like my process, I'm with them throughout everything. A lot of times they bring like the song structure, the riffs, the drums. Like it's almost a finished song. You can put that out and run it, and it would, for anyone who loves just pure instrumental music, they're gonna love the stuff they come up with together.
Sure.
And then it takes weeks and weeks and weeks of playing together that before I even like have the faintest idea of what I'm doing vocally. It's a lot of just syllables and noises and like, and it's just playing with it.
Yeah.
And are there a lot of riff substitutions going on in this process too? Like you said, like I took it home and I messed with it. Now it's not even the same song, or is it not that drastic?
I have never changed.
I don't think you ever have. No, we make it work. We make it work. And and it might sound a little selfish, but I don't always listen to Cody's lyrics until we're maybe done or recording. Like I hear his vocal placement and it makes sense, but it's one of my favorite things about getting done with the record and going back and listening to it, and like it adds a whole other level to him. Like, oh shit, this is exactly what the song needed. Yeah. Or like when we did Collapsing Lung, because I wrote all the lyrics for Cold Tangled Fingers and In Filth, told him kind of what I wanted the last song to be about, and when we talked about it, it's perfect.
Nice.
There's
so many hooks all over that song. And
it's great. Lyrically, it's probably one of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of writing, it took me what felt like a lifetime to even like put something cohesive together.
Yeah.
And then like working with like most of the clean part, Dave wrote the lyrics for. So it's like, how do I complement that really well? And how do I complement just the pure musicianship that like comes to me? Like if I had ever had an inferiority complex beforehand, working with these guys was like, my self-worth was out the door. And I was like, they're incredible. And it has been an experience of like, you work with people who are at a level that like pushes you to be at a better level.
Yeah, you got to be with people like that.
I think if you're having that realization about the musicians around you, you're going to give like 110% effort, either lyrically and or just messing with the fry vocal enough, like switching it up. Like we talk about vocal gymnastics, where you got the guys from Carnosis or Ingested, and they're just all over the place. Yeah, it makes you want to reach. I would feel like as a singer, like okay, I can't just come in here with two tones. Yeah, I got to reach, or I got to at least have the words be super impactful. Yeah, with certain words, if you will, like certain phrases need to stand out more. I think you up your game a little bit more instead of like, these guys are just my musicians.
Oh yeah, no, it is definitely like, it is impossible for me to have like that lead singer complex of like, oh yes, I am. Yeah, this is my band. Because it feels like a one entity when we perform together, and it's pushed me as a musician and as a vocalist, even just like as a lyricist. Like I just want to match, if not like I need to be this good.
Lyrics are criminally underrated in this genre because by and large we're just screaming them. Fry vocals and all this stuff. But when you get into like the lyrics and you're flipping through and you're reading them, if there's like some existential relatable lyrics in it, like that's over the top for me. If I'm reading some basic as fuck lyrics and I'm like, okay, like every other band sounds like this, then I'm gonna be pretty dismissive of your album, because I'm like, I can't really have a lot of buy-in. Like, you didn't put a lot of thought into your lyrics.
I think it's important.
And, like, I'm going to just be bored with it. But if I'm like, oh, I've never heard, and nice words. That thought, great. If I have that kind of buy-in, then you got me at merch. Like, I want to wear the shirt out. It means something to me. I can represent this, But if it's pretty generic or basic, and a lot of bands, they do this, and I'm like, whatever.
Salt in the wound.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck, man? Like, you can't come up with... But... reading you guys' song titles, I can already tell you that I don't know all your lyrics, but it's not like that. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm immediately captivated by reading the lyric.
Like Ocean Throw. I want to know. That's not just something that everybody's going to come up with, know? So I can tell you take your time with thinking about all those things, too. Yeah. So you got these two songs out, and you wanted to just put them out because they didn't make the cut for the other record. So you just wanted to put out a new EP to get some stuff out. Is this where John steps into the band? Okay.
Yep. We played a show at Skeletones earlier in the year with Ryan, and we had tried out some other guitar players and bass players for a while, and there were some good people, but they wouldn't learn the songs, or they were interested but weren't good enough. And John came up and you know, he was like, "Hey, you guys need another guitar player?" And immediately it was like, almost everybody that tries out is trash and a waste of time. So we're not gonna really give you the time of day unless you can learn collapsing lung and show up and play it.
Wow.
And he fucking did.
Yeah.
It was super impressive.
Dude, that was like a month like of just trying to get like the first half, and like that was really hard. Like I ain't gonna lie,
shit.
that was because like just the chords and shit, like reading the Guitar Pro like or whatever like tabs and shit that were in the Google Drive, and then like going by ear, and then a video that he sent me of him playing it, and I'm like, it was a lot of work.
I think the first time we hung out, I had him over. It was the second time we had met, you know, outside of the show, and we just played Collapsing Lung like 10 times.
Like the same two riffs over and over again, pretty much.
You did have to. You did get in-person time with him to learn the song as well, because if he had to just like pull your
I sent him the video and the tabs, and then he showed up and basically had the first half of the song like good.
He had to
go.
like show me like all like the weird like chord type shit, because like I was pretty much like
just the gist.
Yeah, kind of. I'm usually just like or at least beforehand, like before I got into Slugchild, and you know, I write my own shit, like very like power chord, chuggy, like straightforward, kind of somewhat technical death metal guy.
Okay.
And then like getting into this deal, like now, like when I write like my own shit, like it's like weird chords and shit, like it changed me a lot. But yeah, like getting into it, like you did have to like show me like some of the shit, and
I was trying to hype you up, dude.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm just for me, it's like you can only go so far with like what they're giving you.
Right.
Like here it is, learn it on your own, and then you show up and you're like, I did my best. I hope. Can you fill in some blanks for me? You know, because I really want to do this, and I put a lot of time and energy into it. But I feel like you got to have a little bit of that in person time to bounce questions, or maybe like, what should I be doing here? Am I doing it the way you meant it to be done?
Yeah, and that goes back to that thing too. Like you could send him the guitar tabs, and you could send him like a video of you playing it. But when you're with him, you can be like, "Well, I kind of lift off the palm mute a little bit, or like them little nuances we were talking about earlier. It's a little easier to express those things instead of, oh, I thought you would have picked that up off the demo or the tab, you know, because that's not necessarily always going to be the case.
It's a good mixture of that. Of being like, I really want you to do this thing here, and then you do what you want here.
That feedback is huge, especially when you're learning something. You can learn a lot from YouTube. Like you can get on, learn scales and chords, but sitting in with an instructor, he's going to tell you, no, you want to hold your wrist and your pick like this. That immediate feedback that like is not part of the learning process on a, on a static video or a static piece of paper. You know, like those are the things you get. So
all right. So, John, you're on this, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, I did like like my side of like the rhythm guitars, and then or except for
you didn't do Ocean.
I didn't do Ocean Throat because I didn't really. I wanted to focus on like just like finishing this up, because it was like starting to become like a long thing. Like I like starting out with this, it was just like, dude, I really want to like try out recording a band, and I want to quickly just kind of like throw something together and just see what happens. And it became like a whole like several months thing. And so I only just did the like my part of the rhythm on Love Leech, and then we did the live in studio of Collapsing Lung, and I was like, Ocean Throat, just can't do it.
We do it live now, and he's learned it now, but just for the record.
That was great.
Yeah. We had like a 10-hour session one day where we recorded all of the guitar and bass for Ocean Throat. I was smashed by the end of it. It was so funny.
Yeah. It was a good time though.
It was good.
The Collapsing Lung and the Heard Faintly it's really good on the EP or whatever. I really enjoyed it, man. So,
it takes some
it being live or kind of on the fly or whatever. It's really good. So good job with that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk a little bit more. Anything else you want to say about Scars Revealed besides like go stream it on your Bandcamp right now and it's out? And well, I guess before we move on, before I let you answer that, I'm sorry. So I know you wrote Love Leech, and these songs were kind of on the floor, so you didn't really approach this writing because some of these songs were already in the batch from the previous record, right? Untold. So this was kind of all part of the writing process, all of these songs, accumulation. Okay.
Yeah.
I think Love Leech might be the one that we really started diving headfirst into and getting like a final copy for this recording. I don't think the version that we had before we went into Wounds Untold was
it was
so
really there.
far dismissed.
Oh,
from
okay,
this
yeah.
as-
So you did
yeah.
really tighten some screws up.
Oh,
yeah.
and
Absolutely.
approach
almost
it
like
kinda
rebuild from
differently.
the start.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, pretty much the same with Ocean Throat. I mean, we were just so like we had not really touched it in a while, and we picked it back up, and it's like, oh, I haven't played this song in what, like 3 years or something like that, you know? And it's like, oh well, I'm a much different player. I'm a much nastier. We're all much nastier players,
Yeah.
and you're kind of freshly picking it up. I mean, I remember we just sat down in the practice space, Kent and I, and we recorded the basically one track of the lead and my drums just kind of in one go, and it was like, think we got it. All right,
Yeah.
cool. It's like, oh shit. Same. I mean, honestly, same with Collapsing Lung. I mean, that was literally we sat down to record it, first take, boom. Okay.
Yeah.
That,
After weeks of practicing.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's the part that shouldn't be understated is the weeks of practicing that
Oh,
go in
yeah.
hours
yeah.
per day per
Oh, my
week.
God.
You
On
know,
our
like-
own, and then
Yeah.
you practice a lot on your own. You get maybe 2 hours a week because we're all busy. I mean, we usually get together on like Sunday afternoons.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we just we usually run the set once, but we're very good at practicing on our own.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
critical.
very important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, I can't speak highly enough to practicing at home on your own. Not something I
Mhm.
was used to do, but definitely something that if you're in a band these days and you're taking yourself seriously, or
Oh, yeah.
you're not trying to waste 3 other guys' time by
Yep.
showing up like I didn't even fucking listen to it. What's happening? Like
That was
Oh,
the
yeah.
problem.
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
past.
like,
you got to
it's-
find people that want to do it.
You guys
Yeah.
are talking like fucking 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-minute songs. You got to be rehearsing at
Yeah.
home.
Oh,
like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
almost daily, like so you can just kind of do it. Like I'm almost bored of it. You just do it
Yeah.
every day, but you're that good at it. Like if it were to happen that you needed to take a few days off, it's okay because I
Yeah.
do it like every day, so
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
ready to go.
Well, I mean, just for me, like I practiced before you guys got here. I'm playing a show next Friday with Dice here in Muskegon.
I'm going to try to go.
I'll be there.
But
Ugly fucking sweater.
But I practiced before you guys got here, and we just practiced yesterday as a
Yes.
band. So it's like that's how serious I am about shit. I'll go over the set at least every single
Yeah.
day.
Oh, yeah.
And
And
I'm
then-
not gonna fucking be that guy. Like, and then if they fuck up, then that's on them, and they should have practiced more. But
Right.
I'm not saying I'm not gonna fuck up because fuck ups happen. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But I
Oh,
do
yeah.
know I'm gonna be prepared. That's all I know. I'll be overly prepared, and I know I put in the work. So that's all I can control.
Well, and then
right?
if you get offered like a last minute show, like I remember
Yeah, that's
a few summers ago, we got asked like the day before to open up for Weed Eater at the Pyramid Scheme.
Oh my god.
We hadn't seen each other in a while. Cody was doing a motorcycle trip, through Wisconsin and stuff.
around Lake Michigan. I was
Yeah.
literally hitting the UP when I got the text, and I was like, "Oh man,
We gotta do this.
I got I was planning on coming home tomorrow, but I wasn't planning on coming home until like probably midnight, and we're gonna take our time
Pulled
getting
right
home.
up.
And
Yeah.
oh yeah, we've hauling all the way down.
Nice.
Baller
Hell yeah.
pulls up in a motorcycle after a whole ass trip.
Yeah.
Just like,
Oh, yeah.
mm.
I had a
I'm
little
here
bit of
to play.
sunburn, and that almost never happens. It's like
But that's the perk
your
of being well
ass hurts
practiced.
after a while too, though,
Oh, yeah.
don't it? Doing
Yeah.
that, yeah, I bet.
first day, I think we were on. I mean, we had to go through Chicago, so like it really slowed us down to a stop.
Oh,
But it's like 10 hours on the road. You're like, oh
Yeah.
my god, my ass.
yeah, you don't really think about that, but I've talked to a few like motorcycle guys, and then when they say they take those long trips down south or whatever, they're like, "Dude, my back, my ass, everything was hurting so bad." I'm like, "Yeah, I guess it probably would, wouldn't it?" 'Cause
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not
This is a vibration. It's just like
Yeah.
the whole
It's not
way.
perfectly comfortable or nothing.
Sitting
either,
for
you
10
know?
hours, even driving is a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
fuck
Literally.
Still,
Yeah.
amazing trip, phenomenal time.
Nice.
Definitely ended like coming home, getting to
with
play that
Weed Eater.
show.
That was my number one rock star moment.
Oh yeah, that
That
room
was
was full.
It was full.
Hell yeah.
Those guys
That's
were great
badass.
too.
Good venue. Fucking love that place.
Oh, I
yeah.
love this game. It's great.
So let's dive into a little bit of the writing process. You know, we've kind of talked a little bit about that throughout. Now, are we using click tracks when you go to record? I know I said writing,
No.
but I just when you go to
Um,
record, do you guys click everything out?
No.
Oh, you just fucking fire it off.
Yeah, I mean, for Wounds Untold, I made click tracks for myself, and it was literally just a metronome. I basically said, okay, I need to be able to like just hear the metronome with no guitar or anything and play every single song perfectly. Which was unnecessary. It turns out, don't need to be that much of a freak. But basically, when I write shit, it's to a click because it's in Guitar Pro, and that's by definition like to a click. But there's a lot of slow down, speed up. But yeah, live and recording, we just don't bother because it's way easier to do the slowing down and the speeding up without it. And I would rather we practice to metronomes, but like it just feels a lot better. And then you don't have to sweat. Like if you're taking it a little hot, you don't have the click that's messing you up in your headphones.
You're not racing it or whatever.
Exactly.
So no scratch guitar. You're just in there free balling with no music.
We did the guitar through the headphones because
when we recorded,
he was in the basement of Addison's place.
Yeah,
and I was
so you're playing, but not recording.
Yeah,
he's playing. All right.
Yeah, in the run up to recording, I was doing that to myself, and I was doing it to myself. It was torture that I didn't need to do, but I did it.
Man,
I mean, the proof's in the pudding. There was a couple times that you're in the basement going at it and recording, and then you run it again. I was like, is that the playback? And he's like, no, that's him. I was like, wait, what? Like, it's identical every single time to the point where
I mean, if you're ready, that's cool. But going back to the writing, when you write in Guitar Player, now, do you have a guitar? Do you sit with a guitar? Or are you just plugging in notes and you're like, that kind of sounds cool?
Yeah.
Hey, Kent, take what? And Kent's like, I got to fucking learn this, dude.
And it's funny because he doesn't understand necessarily like what's comfortable to play on a guitar. So he'll send it and the notes will be all over the place, or the chords will just be the most,
spider fucking
Z chords. And I'm like, well, if you just do this, and then it's so much easier. But he doesn't know, and that's part of the fun of doing it.
And that's kind of like sometimes when guitar players program drums too, and you're like, you can't program 3 cymbal hits at the same time unless you're hitting the cymbal on top, and the toms. It's like, dude, you gotta, drummers only got 2 arms. Like, what the fuck's
the one song that I'm like that I've written for potentially being used in the future, I put like one part with like way too fast to what like blast beats or something. And she's just like, no, that ain't happening.
I mean, I'm working on learning doubles with triggers, but it's a long process. Shit's hard.
Double strokes.
It
takes a lot of time. Man.
It does. But yeah, I mean, I've definitely, I feel like I've gotten a bit better at like, it's both. I've gotten better at writing stuff that I think is playable, that is playable-ish, but also as I keep writing, I just start making stuff that's more and more
you write songs that you can't play and then you learn to play them.
Right.
That's the best way to do it.
Right.
That's how you get better.
Yeah. So it's a lot because I just kind of, I mean, genuinely, I get all of my song ideas while I'm walking my dog.
Okay.
I just, I'm not listening to anything. I'm just out there kind of alone with my own thoughts, and I just try and write it down, and knowing that I'm writing this, I'm not a guitar player.
Yeah.
It's going to change.
Is it keyboard MIDI into the program? Is that what it is? Like,
I mean, it's very, very.
You're not just like on the keyboard of a computer, right? You're on a music keyboard, right?
No.
Or no?
I'm literally
just putting in numbers, right?
Wow. I mean, color me impressed. That's wild. I would think that you're at least like. Are you trained in the piano?
But
it's not a big component of your writing process. Then.
Right. No, it's I mean, I use both keyboard view and like the fretboard view. Like the keyboard is a little bit more helpful for me for sort of getting the chord structure, like the specific combination of notes that I want. But like then you have to put that on a fretboard and go, that's
some
not
of the
gonna
stuff
work.
he sends me is just I just close my laptop. I'm like, tomorrow,
revisit
I gotta
that.
sleep on that one.
Do that when I'm motivated.
We'll put some thought into that.
Right.
So, biggest question: why the fuck 11-minute songs?
Yeah, I was waiting.
It's my fault. I mean, I some of my biggest inspirations are like Pallbearer, Inter Arma, Bell Witch, Suffering Hour, a lot of bands that kind of push out the boat in terms of like song length and structure and like the way you can do that. I mean, I think for me, I've always been inspired by bands that really kind of like really swung for the fucking fences, I personally would love to do like an album that's just one song.
Yeah,
you know, that would
34 minutes of
Damn.
be right.
breaks.
But I mean,
Damn.
that's like.
We're gonna be learning some
I
shit
bet you
soon
and
here, dude.
You and Addison must have got along like goddamn brothers then hearing that, because he's the same way. He wanted a 22-minute song. And
Yeah. I mean, with the understanding that it's like, it has to be digestible. You know, it can't just be like 30 minutes of just ever shifting blast beats. Some bands do that, you know, like, and I love, like, I mean, I really like fucked up slam,
but
you know.
At the end of the day, like we still want it to be a good song.
Yes.
And like our song Ocean Throat, I don't know how long that one is. I think it's paced pretty well. I don't when I listen to it, I'm like, man, it's 10 minutes long. I think
11:02.
11:02, Jesus. But you know, there's a couple of breakdowns, and there's like 3 acoustic passages in it, so like I think it breaks it up pretty well.
Yeah,
it's like watching a really long movie. It's like you watch Eyes Wide Shut, and you're like, this doesn't feel like a 3-hour long movie.
If you can make it feel shorter. Or
So if it's got ebb and flow, you can write a 45 to 60-minute piece. So you can divide it into tracks, or make it one track if you want. But I think it just has to have ebb and flow to it, to where it's like it makes sense.
Right.
Definitely.
Otherwise, you know, just do 5-minute songs and then cut it into 7 or 8 songs or whatever.
That's what I'm wondering is like, just how do you decide, well, here's 6 minutes of riffs and here's 11 minutes of riffs and here. So it's just a feeling how, when you kind of know like the song is done, this is the whole piece of art, because, you know, art's subjective. It's whatever you want to do. At the end of the day, you guys got to love it, right? And that's the first thing, to having other people like it. As long as you guys love it, and then you're not really worried about the rest after that. So, you know,
it's for somebody.
I'm just wondering, you know, what kind of possesses you. Like, man, you know, we're 10 minutes into this bitch and we still got something to go, you know. It's like,
I remember when he first brought Ocean Throw back in our very first practice space, I mean, early on, and he had about 4 minutes of music. And then it ended before like the breakdown in the middle of the song. And I remember we were just talking, and I was just kind of mindlessly strumming, and he's like, wait, just keep doing that. And he ran behind the drum kit, and then and then I wrote the second half. We have a couple of songs that it's like Dave first half, me second half.
Oh yeah. And, Cold Tangled Fingers was 100% that. Yeah. I mean, it really is very much like I'm writing it, and it gets to a point where I'm like, I mean, it feels like it's long enough, but I don't know if it's long enough, or it's like right. Yeah.
Obligatory.
Yeah.
Bazinga.
Or it's like, I like this, and then there's a riff on the end that I'm like, I like the riff. It might be too fucked up for this song. Maybe I take that riff and we do something else with it. And again, you know, because it's such a like, we're such a weird, like, goopy, up and down, fast and slow band. You know, it's like I bring it with the expectation of like, parts of this might not work, parts of this might be fine, and we repeat it. We might need to add stuff, you know. I mean, it's just sort of,
it's all feeling. You're basically
it's vibes based as much as I'm reticent to say vibes based.
I think there's definitely been some times when we're attacking like longer material that if it feels in practice that it's overstaying its own welcome. And it's like, okay, what can we alter? What can we do different things with? But yeah, the story needs to come to its natural conclusion.
So is there any like feet dragging when it comes to like rehearsing a 10-minute song where you're like, oh fuck, again? Like,
yes.
Or is it or is everybody like on board for it? Like, yeah, I love every minute of this every single time.
The one track that I had that was difficult to do more than once in a practice was Cold Tangled Fingers, because the first like 5 minutes are just like very slow funeral doom stuff, and that song was very heavy. I mean, I wrote the lyrics when I could relate to the lyrics very much, so it was like doing that was like dragging me down a little bit, but it makes the song, I don't know, sometimes we'll turn the lights out, you know, and play it in the dark or something like that. You know, get the, you know, feel it out.
Then that transports you to like a stage presentation environment where it's more enjoyable in the practice space, where you're not just running through with the house lights.
Yeah,
let's dim it. Let's go red lights or no lights or whatever lights. And then you can kind of like mentally go to like, okay, I can fucking play this in my sleep, but now I'm envisioning myself play it live.
Yeah,
and then it just gives it a whole new breath of life. It just, it you know, it makes the song better because you're so ready to perform it for people.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And I think that's a huge part of.
So with your unorthodox way of kind of writing things, especially on your end, Dave, I noticed you guys. I mean, you guys will have some doom shit. It'll be black metal all of a sudden.
Yeah,
you have a few parts that might be death metal.
Sure,
a couple little maybe groovy, slammy parts. But you guys just have this really, But it's your own thing too at the same time, and that's what I really respect about it. Do you guys go in with the intention like, hey, there should be a black metal part here, or just
whatever serves the song?
Okay.
Yeah, whatever.
Gotcha.
Yeah, with like flap singling, you do that really. Like, how else are you supposed to? Where are you supposed to go after 5 minutes of really slow funeral doom clean stuff?
Right.
Like, if you really want it to kick the crowd in the teeth, you gotta kick them in the teeth.
Yeah.
So you gotta.
I mean, I think Kent's always so. Kent has this way of like reimagining shit, because like every time we go into the studio, I'll have heard a song one way, which is the live performance way, right, where it's like single tracked, and it's great. But then Kent will always bring just like he's lugging like 4 suitcases of ideas into the fucking studio, and he executes on all of them. And then it's like, oh, this is just like 7 extra dimensions, Nice. And Cody is the same way, where Cody will be like, all right, I'm going to triple track this part and this part, and I have to pitch, I mean, you're just, everybody here is just kind of throwing so many so many layers, and they're working. It's, I don't know, it's very fun. I love it.
So what happens? I know Mod brought up the question, but what happens when one of you guys are kind of married to something, and the other guy's like, "Hey, that's some bullshit, bro," or "Hey, we gotta change that." Is that
we just do what I want to do?
No, I mean, honestly, I'm just sort of like, cool. I genuinely, because I mean, there have been times where I'm like, not. It's like, is that too friendly sounding? Is that too catchy? Because my brain is broken and I can't let myself enjoy things.
Yeah. That's the great thing about collaborating.
Yeah.
Like, I did not want to collaborate before I joined this band, and it took a while to like want to do it and to understand why to do it. You want it to be your show. At least I'm an only child, so I think I had that like unconscious like, this is about me.
No, I get it.
But then you collaborate, like I said earlier with Cody bringing the lyrics. I was like, oh, I wouldn't have come up with that, but I love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I love it.
Yeah. That's why I think it's been so good, is because it, like, nobody is like stamping their foot down necessarily. It's just sort of like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
You know?
And at least you can do is try it, right? And if it sounds like shit, then we'll just have to play it the other way or whatever.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
You just got to come to a compromise or whatever. But
Right.
So
I was going to say, I had 2 thoughts to jump in on before we move
buddy.
forward. One, I can't do happy music. If your shit sounds like Iron Maiden, like, I'm immediately tapped out. I can't. If it's just like upbeat and happy, I'm kind of like, no thanks. Like, really, that's
trusting.
Just, I don't buy it.
It could be a little happy as long as you have it be fucked up enough. You know what I mean?
like you can do like a psychotic type of happy, and that'd be like pretty cool.
My wife will joke with me all the time, like, "Where's the happy music?" And I look right at her. I'm like, "We're listening to it now."
Right.
This is the happy music.
Yeah.
This is. I am.
I didn't know it was separate.
Right.
Like,
Oh shit!
Devourment gives me endorphins. Okay.
Killer.
Yeah.
This is the face of a happy man.
Yeah.
and then 2, I was wondering, like, it sounds like you guys are all throwing in like a lot of ideas. Do you hit a wall where you're like, pull back? All right, we can't do all of his ideas and all of his ideas together. Like, something's got to give here. Do you guys like hit that wall?
We do my
We
ideas.
got 11-minute songs for a reason.
Well,
Right.
I think
We're gonna do it all.
it's if you take the attitude of, I always have to take the attitude of, hey, I'm throwing this out there. You're allowed to not like it. You're allowed to be like, that,
not.
you know, and I think a lot of it is mindset. It's going into it with a mindset of just being pretty open and like not. I personally like to hold all the songwriting stuff like very loosely, because it's going to change, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I never want to get my feelings hurt over, like, that's not really a productive use of energy, you know? I don't know. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. My question was going to be for John, and this is kind of a little bit like going forward. Now, I heard you say that you might have had something that you might want to bring to the table. Now we're introducing John into the band. now are we working on some ideas of yours, or how are you going to approach your writing? And because I heard you say you kind of do
Kent's like
I heard you say you kind of do more of like the death metal, you know, more simplistic. I don't want to say simplistic when you say death metal, but you said more like techie stuff, but obviously it's going to be a lot different than the way Dave or Kent writes, especially because they've been doing this for so long. So where are you coming into this picture? What does this look like?
Well, I'm very much, because I like the band for what it is, and so when I try writing, like it's very much like out of the respect of trying to like conform to like what they're doing, but then also like put in like a dabble of like, you know, because I want to write some shit that I like,
right? Yeah,
and
sure.
So what they're writing isn't good enough. You want to write?
It's horrible. It's terrible. I can't stand it. I just play in this band.
It needs my riff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, just like respecting it, and like, you know, I got my one song that I've written. Like I'd say it's like a lot more like, I don't know. How would you guys explain it?
It's a little,
never listened to it.
It's a little
Yeah.
It's a little like Gorgutsy to me a bit. It's got a bunch of like spacey. I mean, honestly, like I listen to it and I'm like, there's a lot of stuff we can do here. A lot of fun to be had. I don't know. I mean,
there's a lot of low end stuff in what you do, which I think is why you're good doing, because he plays through a bass rig live as well, so he's holding down a lot of the low end.
And I got like a kind of, I'm on a 7-string guitar, but like I got that lower string, kind of like how an 8-string is, and he's like playing like, you know, A standard, and so I got that extra E, so I can like kind of do some like lower shit just for shits and gigs, and I don't know, like that too, like if I could like slowly incorporate more of that, you know, of course make it work, but you know, because for some of the doom shit, that could go pretty hard. Just having that boom.
We're going to be doing some...
Not shove it down people's throats.
Some big, weird doom coming up here for sure. Like, we've got a lot of new material.
Like 2 albums.
Sitting
a
lot of stuff.
Yeah, we're on like a slight hiatus right now because I injured myself recording the last album. Yeah. I mean, it's all healable stuff. I never gave myself enough time to actually heal all
man.
right.
You got that rest and recovery is so important, man. You can't lift every day. I mean, some people do because they're out of their mind, but it doesn't do anything. It's just, you know what I mean? Like you're just actually going backwards if you don't ever get that rest and recovery. So,
yeah, but I mean, I think I'm very, very excited about.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I feel
like
like
all future stuff.
Maybe kind of touched on this. I just want to be clear on it. Will there be like, as far as live performances, will there be like the click track or the piped in music so that we're getting all of the other elements, or we're just...
Once we're playing festivals and like doing tours and making a ton of money, I think that's what
We brought out the acoustic for the first time at our last show. We opened up with Wounds Untold.
Okay.
That was cool. Fun because I do a lot of like folk and country stuff alone.
Love it.
I'm opening up Jeff Fest next month.
Yeah, you are.
I also seen that you played at like Park November or something, because like, I believe Larry's band played there.
Cold Snuffer. Oh man, I had never seen them before, but I know Larry from playing with you guys. And so it was an open mic, just a little small tangent. I mean, it was the Park Theater in Holland's open mic, and it was a lot of like 15-minute hip hop spots or some Eagles covers, and I do originals. But then Colt Snuffer and the Dead Horsemen got up there and did 45 minutes of just original, their Southern blues gothic stuff, and just crushed. It was amazing. That was one of the coolest shows I'd seen in a minute. I mean, they're so good.
Yeah, I just did 5 songs for them. So they got some stuff coming out.
I was listening to you, and you did one of their albums, right?
I mastered I recorded their drums and mastered the first one, and then we just recorded one, and it's not out yet. So
hell yeah,
they're so good.
So, but they jam. But so as far as like production, pseudo producer, like you did this, you recorded this.
Yeah,
last
you
EP, right?
Yeah, did everything except mastering. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I pretty much. He had like whatever that thing is, like what is that? That mixer? Yeah, that mixer that we have at the at the practice space. Like, we just went into that, and then he got the SD card and got those drum tracks and took it to my place, and then we took care of all the guitars and vocals there, and like I pretty much learning how to like mix in EQ or whatever, like drums, like that was the first time like I actually like, you know, recorded acoustic drums, or technically you recorded, because I didn't know how to use that thing. And then like, but actually like mixing it and doing all that shit, like that was the first time I did that, and that was a challenge. That was like probably the biggest part of like why this took like a while, is just like trying to figure out the drums and like other smaller shit too that was kind of like annoying. And
well, we didn't have very good mics for it, you know, because it was just sort of like a literally like bargain mic pack like that I got.
Right. Timu Tom mics, just, you know, clip on.
Hey.
Hey, we got somewhere with it though. We did. Like I just grinded it and just sat for like a long ass time, you know, just trying to figure it out and
make it sound less like shit.
Yeah.
So
it worked out.
Would that be the formula going forward, or was that just a process to get these ideas out?
Yeah, that was just the process of doing it. Like I have a lot more ideas like going into the future as to like how we're gonna like record.
Yeah,
like,
I guess that's basically what I'm asking. Is that the route that you guys want to go?
I think
like
so,
kind of just doing it yourself,
Yeah.
giving yourself more time to perfect things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Obviously, you're always going to get better at it. You know,
Yeah.
so it's something you're going to learn more and more every time you do it. But
we have 2 drum tracks that we're sitting on for songs that we've been doing live. And so in this time where we're not playing live, we're gonna record at least 2 more songs.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
I'm really excited about it. I mean, you know, it's just one of those things where it's like you don't. I was really nervous about doing this DIY because I was really worried that we would spend a bunch of time and we wouldn't end up with something that I was proud of.
Right,
and just not the case at all. I am super, super proud of this EP. I genuinely am like so beyond thrilled that John,
Me too.
you know, put in all of the work because I mean, I don't know. It's a different, you know, there are parts of Wounds Untold that like it has a little bit more of that polish, that lovely sheen that Addison put on there. So this one was a little bit more rough and ready, and it's not due to any lack of effort or execution on John's part. It's just more.
It's just naturally how it came out.
Right.
I think that was the mentality going into it, is that we wanted it to kind of be like a little bit more rough, like not too.
But that I think that serves you guys in a way, just because of how everything is so organic and natural with you guys. Like when you listen to anything, that it all like it says live, but it kind of all sounds live to me. You know what I mean? Because you're not really beholden to that click. Right. And I don't hear any like tempo variation, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying like it all ebbs and flows the way it should, like a slug would.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Y'all move like a slug should. So you're doing a great job. That's all I'm saying about that. So I heard you guys say something about every Sunday you get together practicing.
Yeah, that's yes. You know, we've been off for a bit, but that was generally we would do Sundays. I mean, you know, Kent and I'd sometimes meet up during the week. But I mean, you know, when I'm going, I'm in the studio 3 to 5 times a week for me. Because I have to actually take rest days otherwise.
Well, that's what happens.
That's good to hear a drummer say they play that much, because there's only a few I know that do that. You'd be one of them. So
Larry's got to be one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about some shows. I heard you say something about you do have some touring aspirations. Is that?
We'd love to.
Oh, it would be rad.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be sick.
Yeah, I mean, I think you know, what I think after the hiatus, I would love to do a couple more local shows, and then I mean, for me, I really want to play. Like we got to play Detroit in November, and wasn't a lot of people, but it was like playing the Sanctuary. Hell yeah.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
And I'd love to play the Sanctuary some more. I'd love to get out of the state, you know. I'd really love to. I mean, I think we'd all love to play like Chicago or Indianapolis,
for sure.
You know, kind of start with the Midwest. It you know, it's tough when you're a small band, and
I think right now we have more connections than we have in the past.
Yep.
For sure.
We go to a lot of shows. We always go to local shows, and I film a lot of it. So that's been a great way to make friends with people. Like that was how we got on that Detroit show. Is I filmed a Centenary set when they played Oigs Fest last year.
And they rule.
They do rule.
So cool.
I did a little Kalamazoo
they do.
Chainsaw Massacre like theme for their video, and that got us that show out there. You know, now we're friends with them, so you know it's like you help each other out, and you know. Well, that helps.
So, what would a tour look like for you guys? A long weekend or maybe a week? Does everybody have
like
an
a
employer
week.
that would allow that?
Yeah,
I would do
could
a week. Yeah, I mean, I work from home, so you know, I've got the luxury of being able to make stuff like that happen. But I mean, it's you know, we all have day jobs, so you know, it's kind of like I think
weekend warrior shit would be cool.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I think
Friday,
a lot of
Saturday,
it,
go home.
Yeah. I think a lot of it also is like we've tried a number of times to sort of book a weekend run of shows, and it's very, very hard unless you know people. You know.
Yeah.
So I think as we you know get a little bit bigger and we're able to like make connections with people, it's like, oh yeah, let's fucking book a show, you know.
Yeah, being consistent, that's the biggest thing. Just staying out there, making sure you're you know, putting out new music or playing new shows. It's just hard because sometimes 3-4 months can go by real fast, and then you're like, oh, Slugchild's still a band. You know, I've been in so many situations where a member would leave and then it just fucks up your whole momentum, and you feel like you're on the right path, but all of a sudden, you know, the guy leaves, and then you're like, well, there's that. And now we're 4 months or 5 months trying to find a new guy to learn the shit, you know, especially the stuff, this Infinite Design stuff we used to play. Nobody's just coming in the room and playing this shit.
That's right.
It's just not happening. You know?
It's been a tough year. He got married. Dave got injured, and we got this guy. So I mean, I think last year was probably more productive for live stuff.
Sure,
but that's just it. Just ebbs and flows. I think the end of this year. I think once Dave's healed, and I think we'll be good to go. I feel pretty good about it.
So how much time do you need? Do you think then, Dave?
A couple weeks, right?
I think realistically, I probably need 2 to 3 more months. In 23. In like November of 23, I displaced a rib and pinched a nerve, and then
he was talking shit.
Yeah, exactly. It was a speedboat tubing accident, actually. Funnily enough, and then I like didn't. It's mostly healed now, but I injured my groin doing the kick stuff on this album because I went a little too hard. But hey, you know. It's all. I don't need surgery or anything, so it's just physical therapy and rest. Honestly,
I injured myself performing. I was, you know, doing the whole full torso thrash.
Oh yeah,
and I felt like I was shot through and through the chest and out the back. I came to a stiff stand up. I was like, what the fuck happened? So I'm like looking down to see if I'm bleeding. Okay, I'm not bleeding. That's good. But I realized I like pinched a nerve. And it wrapped like the whole effect of it wrapped around to the sternum and like a parallel spot in my back.
Brutal.
And it stayed with me for years, until I finally sought out physical therapy when I had the health insurance. I was like, hey, you know, I got a 1.5-year-old kid at home. I'm nervous about picking up.
Right.
You know, like that's like I'm like super emotional over it with the physical therapist. She's like, "Oh my god, this guy's falling apart." I'm like, I can't pick up my child. Like I'm worried I'm aging way ahead of time here. But
Definitely.
The physical therapy was what it took.
Yeah. And I also got a nerve block earlier this year because I had the chronic pain just never fucking went away.
It's the worst.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't sleep, and I like worked nights for a while, and that fucked me up for years afterwards.
That fucked you up bad.
He wrote the best music during that time.
It's true. I mean, that was kind of the only thing making me feel okay was Slugchild. And so, you know, it was the only thing that gave me a sense of self-worth. And so I wasn't really paying attention to my own bodily needs.
Yeah.
And, you know, hey, it's a process.
Yeah. Now it's time to bring all that beautiful music to life on stage.
Oh, exactly.
Heal up.
Oh, yeah.
So I noticed. I would like to talk a little bit about this. Can you doing like I noticed all your visuals are kind of in a theme too. Like everything's kind of really distorted, really kind of old looking. I know that also lends its way to the way you produce video and things because it's the VHS style videos that you're going for. I know you did one for our good friend Eric too. Black Temple. Made that video.
He was in it too.
So that was really cool. So just tell me a little bit about that, like the visual aesthetic and kind of what you guys are going for, trying to keep that thematic, and what inspired you to kind of want to make that kind of video as well as you're producing?
Well, I think I didn't have any video editing skills until like last summer. We just finished Wounds Untold, and I really wanted to do a music video. We didn't have a lot of extra cash, and I didn't really want to pay anybody else to do it. So, since the start of COVID, I love collecting VHS tapes. You go to Goodwill and just find, the weird stuff, weird documentaries or weird movies or any of that kind of stuff. And I decided for In Filth that we were just going to just wing it. So I got as many VHS tapes as I could find, just random documentaries and stuff like that, imported them all to my computer, and then just started throwing shit at the wall. And I think I worked on that video for like 3 weeks. I spent a ridiculous amount of time. If you looked at my workflow, I probably had like 18 stacks of video. It was so unorganized. I didn't know what I was doing, but we put that out, and I was happy with that. And then I bought a camcorder at the end of last year and just started, filming shows. And
a camcorder for how many US dollars?
$10.
Yes, at a thrift store.
I really need a new one. I really need to improve. That's my goal for next year, is to improve my setup.
It is jank, but you've done yeoman's work with that thing.
I firmly believe that an artist's limitations really make the art. I have a shitty camera, so you gotta take it as far as you can take it.
I think it's a testament to being an artist, though, when you can work with like subpar gear.
Yeah,
which I don't think you should work with the worst gear. Like, you shouldn't start your kid out on like $100 guitar.
No, right.
You should maybe buy a legit guitar for them, but not the best. But also, like, if you have like, there's my $10 camcorder, fuck it.
Yeah.
But you're making, like, you're constantly using it. You're getting way more value out of it. Like, I think that's a testament to. You can go out, buy a $1,000, $4,000 camera and not fucking get any value out of it.
And that's the thing. That's the thing. You got to learn how to use that $10 camera before you buy a $4,000 one, because you're just going to look at it like, what the fuck do I do with this? And then you also can get into that whole thing where, I'm not going to record no videos until I have a $4,000 camera, or I have this lens, or I have this program. Recording, that from recording. I can't do this because I don't have this, and then you can go down that road. So
exactly.
If you can make some shit out of a $10 camcorder, man, be proud of yourself, because at least you know how to use it and what you want to do with it.
Absolutely, and I think it keeps us unique. I think we have a unique visual style. Like when we put out Scars Revealed, I put together a visualizer for it, just because our generation and people now, they have to be stimulated by something. If you're driving, maybe you could put on an album and listen to it, but not a lot of people are just going to sit and just listen to music. So for me, turn out the light, smoke a little bit, turn it on, watch it. I think it's entertaining. So I like doing that kind of stuff, and it's a good way to promote yourself.
Yeah.
We try to record as many of our shows as possible. Not in 4K cameras. There's nothing wrong with that. I do like that the modern production a lot too. But I think, I was born in the late 90s, so there's a lot of bands from back in the day that I love, and I love going online and watching bootleg videos of bands that I like, or bands before they blow up. And, I've been going to shows in Kalamazoo for years now, and it starting to bring the camera to it. It allowed bands to, I could help promote bands. I could help promote myself.
Just bonus content.
And then maybe 20 years in the future, when none of these bands, maybe none of them are around anymore, people can go back and be like, oh man, like that was me when I was 20.
That's what changes, Jay. He's got a whole YouTube full of old content of us from when we were in our teens and 20s.
Yeah, because I always had a camera. We always had a camera, and you can go back and watch that stuff. It's not great quality, and we sucked as musicians for the most part, but it's just fun to have, because we documented it, and you can see the whole journey of you're not going to be as good as you are now if you didn't start somewhere,
Right.
So, It's very fun to like watch a little bit of like our first ever show recorded on a phone. I'm up there in I was wearing like a Wayne's World wig and glasses on stage.
Cody was a dark preacher.
Yeah, it was great. And speaking of visuals, so a while back you kind of mentioned that like some people were, or was it you who were saying that like the cover on Wounds Untold was like AI stuff? So that was I have a dude who used to live here who I was kind of homies with, and he's an artist, and what he does is he tapes and weights down panes of glass and then shatters them and produces these crazy visual effects, and then he like hand paints each like shard of mirror and then makes these crazy tapestries. His name is Jacob Joe Knapp. He's really, really cool. But I reached out to him and I was like, hey, we're coming up with an album, and I don't know, I mean, would you be willing to do a commission for us? Because I've always loved your style. And then he just sent me, his partner took a bunch of photos of shattered glass with a scanning electron microscope and sent me like just a huge folder of pictures of shattered glass, and they all looked crazy because it was ultra microscopic, and that's what we ended up using, was just collaging together all the different pictures of shattered glass
on
that she
Wounds
took.
Untold.
Yeah. I mean, it was
not AI. I mean, I know it kind of looks like that,
right?
But to me, I look at it, see like maybe multimedia or just like several different pictures.
Yeah,
kind of like it was filtered or layered on top of each other.
Yeah. It was 3 basically. Well, because Kent's girlfriend Morgan did that, and she took 3 of the cool pictures and sort of collaged them, and then added like a bit of a color gradient.
And I think it's sweet as fuck. Honestly.
I appreciate that.
I didn't see AI. I don't know. But,
we get from a lot of different people like, when I listened to the album, I saw the cover, I thought of this. It's kind of ambiguous, so it kind of lets people put their own interpretation on it.
And that's the beauty of art and music in general. You take your own interpretation. That's why sometimes I like the lyrics that are. They don't just spell out exactly what I'm thinking. You got to put some thought into it, and you can take something away because someone will take something different away. Yeah. So that makes that art even more valuable.
It's a good mix. It's a good mix of like, I have something to say, but also maybe I'm going to talk about a way that you're not quite sure how I feel about it.
It leaves it open for your.
The lyric writing in our process has been so ambiguous. Just like Jay will give me an idea, but then I'll come. I won't even tell Jay like what I'm doing with his idea. I'll just go to the closet and grab a bunch of ideas and say, all right, I'm going to throw these into this song. Totally. So now I'm giving it a whole other context or a whole other layer of content. Like, so it's about this, but it's running with your idea through this medium. Yeah. I wanted to say, though, with your cover art, though, it's fucking awesome. I like that it's not cliche. It's not like a lot of other things where here's the skeleton, here's the bones, here's the decatur. Right. It's like, okay, I've seen these so many stylings the same, just everybody's doing the same thing, but no, we got whatever it is. Whatever it's I'm looking at a painting, though it's not a painting, right? I'm getting whatever I want out of it. You're not telling me what to think with this. It's not. Here's the guy with the puppet strings. Like
and with Scars Revealed, we had done some photos at, what was that park out here?
Millennium Park
on
the west side of Grand Rapids.
My friend Will, Crooked Pains on Instagram, he had done some photos of us.
So good.
Just some promo photos, but then when we started getting close to being done with the EP, I'm like, all right, we're just gonna make some really generic, basic cover art. So I just, I did some texture with our Slugchild logo, and this guy didn't like anything that I would fucking send to him. I was getting so pissed off. He's like, no, it's not good. It's not good. And I was like, all right. So I remember I got really stoned and just for like 3 or 4 hours, I worked on that. I'm not a professional graphic design guy. I just use Canva for everything. Okay. But that covers a mixture of my friend's photos and some shots from our camcorder that we had used out there too. I was really happy with that. We did all the design for the album. We did some posters. We printed all of that through a local print shop and made cassettes and CDs and all of that stuff. So
is Millennium Park a disc golf park?
I don't
know. I'm looking at the body of water, and I'm just thinking of a disc golf
park.
I
so.
I don't think so.
It was so hot.
I would have known.
It was like 90-something degrees middle of summer. We're in the water in our jeans.
Yeah, it was a beautiful day. I mean, I love that park. It's just a lot of paved paths. It's honestly really nice. Great place to walk your dog.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Well, we're starting to run out of time here, and I got two more questions, maybe 3, that I really want to ask. Number 1 is, just tell me a little bit about the name, because I'm just wondering where you came up with that. Because, like I said, the music represents that, and I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's actually a pretty wild origin story.
You weren't even here. You weren't even born when we started. You young boy.
Yeah, when you were like 6 years old, starting
You were just a small Slugchild.
Yeah, exactly.
John was actually the child in Slugchild.
Yeah, exactly. That's where it comes from.
Yeah. As every metal fan does, I have a note in my phone that's like 7 years old where I just put in things that sound cool.
Okay.
Everybody's, at least I think everybody's got that. Maybe it's just me. But when we started coming up with it, one of the first ones I had in it was Slugchild. And I think it's from an American Dad episode. I can't remember where it came from, but I'm pretty sure it came from and we were throwing out all these ideas.
Oh yeah.
And I said that one as a joke. We had all these joke names, and I said that one as a joke.
And
they all went with it.
I saw it, and I was like, oh, that's it.
It's got a good ring to it. It's like very memorable.
Well,
it leaves people thinking for sure.
Well,
Hence why we're talking about it.
In my mind, it was really basically like I envisioned it as some like fucked up slug child hybrid that you would find deep inside a cave that kills you, right? And that was what I envisioned it as. And I mean, I don't know.
It works.
Anytime I tell people about
Well, on that.
This is the thing.
on the Live at Airport records, I felt the need to like explain, like try to give some context to that. So there's like an intro, like spoken word thing that kind of.
I listened to it.
Yeah, and that was I wrote that in the Tim Hortons drive-through.
Sounds pretty cool though. I liked it.
I liked it too.
It gave a good vibe to it and everything.
And then the logo, the day before our first demo came out, our original bass player was basically the graphic artist guy. And we're like, dude, we don't have a logo. So we put it together. And we still use it. We use a slightly different version of it with some wings and stuff on it now.
Yeah, I see the Wings edition on Stars Revealed.
Yeah, that was my girlfriend who did that one too.
Yes.
Like it. Looks like a helmet now.
Yes.
I see I see just the shirt with the evil slug child just fucking devouring somebody on it or whatever, you know, like
that's the right idea.
But I also in my head I'm like slug child, like punch a kid, you know.
That's literally I tell anybody like at my work, the band, they're like, so like what are you, like a hardcore band, like punching kids or whatever? I don't know.
Slugging children.
Yeah, slugging children.
Our audience is more 35-year-old with back problems.
Yeah,
you know,
I get it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love the logo too. By the way, it does look like a little evil magic mushroom.
Yeah.
Like you're about to go on a hellish psilocybin trip.
That checks out for Luke.
Yeah. I mean, I do genuinely love our logo. I think it's cool. Yeah, the wings always make me think of like fucking Kingdom Hearts. It's very Kingdom Hearts aesthetic, but I like that, so that's great.
I think a lot with the name. I was super resistant to it at first. Like I come from more of like a metalcore, like pop punk background, and that's what I listen to. That's what I like live in. So I was like, I fucking hate this name.
Why did we not fight against the other members of the band and change it?
You know, I think
like it now.
As things went on, it just kind of it gave us the fluidity to embody whatever we wanted it to. Like in the way that even when we talk to people, they're like, this is what I got out of it. This is what I think of when I see it. Like our visuals, our aesthetic. We like to be that like blank slate. We're gonna give you the feeling, or Dave refuses to say the vibe that we want to push forward.
Well, no, it's
like,
vibe.
We give you the autonomy to kind of take what you want from it.
Right. Yeah.
One of the things that I get from it, and I think that makes it a good band name, is usually a good band name has like a dark and a light, or a good and a bad, like come together. So you got Alice in Chains,
Sure.
right? You got Iron,
Morbid Angel,
Butterfly.
Yeah.
Morbid Angel, right?
Yeah,
so
a lot of kid and a good slug.
Yeah. So you got like a nice little innocent child. He's got this ugly, slimy
Mutated
slug.
fucking-
Yeah. So again, I think it's when you can like butt those two things up together in a way, like you have yourself a really good band name.
I didn't think about it like that, but I see that.
It happens to be for me at least. Like there's a positive and a negative that kind of come together in a band name. Because then you can say we're heavy, we're nasty, we're ugly, like a slug. But then we're also going to give you this piano and this acoustic. And it's going to be like
singing.
There's going to be this beautiful, innocent, childlike element to it. So I think that's a good way to, and it represents your band very well. Now, I mean,
I've grown to love it.
Yeah, because like you said, you kind of envision the gooey, slimy, weird, disgusting slug child, and that can kind of be like what your music represents. Like, that's why I think it's a great fit for you guys.
I'm always going to immediately think of punching a child, though. Like, right out the gate.
That's got to be a shirt design,
we kick him in the
dude.
teeth, you know.
Keep that
really
attitude.
go for it.
But there's probably a hardcore band called Slug A Child.
Right.
There is an Australian doom band called Slug Mother.
Oh,
and I message them on Instagram for advice every now and then.
How's this working for you guys?
Yeah.
Mom?
You're one generation ahead. The Slug Mother. We're just in
Where is
children
Slug Father?
form, you know?
Yeah.
All right, so what's next for you guys? Like, I know we got a little hiatus, but after the hiatus, and we're ripping. You said you got a little music.
2025.
Yeah. What are
doing?
we looking at?
I would love to be back in the studio in late 2025 doing new stuff. I mean, we do have two. We've got two songs. we've played them live a ton. It's well, actually, Mirror. So yeah, it's Sunrot and Mirror of Dead Eyes are the two songs, and Sunrot we've played live for years.
Open with it for like 2 years.
Yeah.
It's a ripper.
Mirror we've only played a few times because it has a couple of really, really hard drum parts that I kind of have to like really. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do the kick part on Mirror of Dead Eyes for a while again, because that's like why I injured myself.
Right. Yeah. Is it the blasting part at the end?
Yeah, because it's like 210 BPM or something like that on kick, and I can barely do that if I'm really well practiced.
Yeah.
I need to learn doubles.
Yeah, I was going to say that'll save a lot of life for you.
Yeah,
a lot of energy too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And you're a fucking good enough drummer, dude. That'll come easy for you once you work on it a little bit. You'll have it. No time.
I think so.
Yeah, we had Colin from Throwing on. You know, it didn't happen overnight. Right?
Yeah, he worked on it for 10 years. He said he almost gave up on it. It was so fucking difficult.
Right
now you watch him play and you're like,
oh my god,
fuck off, Colin. Jesus, dude,
he
you're
said
so
10
damn
years,
good.
but I think he said he really like knuckled down and went at. He
really
went for it. Like
yeah.
and got it over a shorter span of time. But 10 years
But
back, on and off.
But it was a thought in his head for 10 years. Like, I need to learn how to do that.
I pretty much. So, I mean, I finally have triggers and a really good direct drive. So I mean, I have no excuse. It's just a time commitment.
Putting in the work.
I think in the future, I mean, we're going to record those songs. I think we're going to incorporate more. I think we're just going to go more with what we did on Scarsdale. I think there's going to be a lot more clean vocals. I think we're going to do a lot more with harmonies.
So
I think we're going to incorporate more acoustic passages and stuff, because that's what I started off playing as growing up. So that colors my playing all the time.
Yep.
I think longer songs and shorter songs.
Yeah.
I think. I just think we're going to probably keep progressing the way that we have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely want to push out drumming and singing. Like I want that to be a thing that I never want to like overshadow Cody, very genuinely, because Cody is just such a fucking great vocalist. But like, you know, I want to, you know, when it makes sense, I want to do that, because that's fun. Not a lot of people do that, you know.
That gives you the child part of the slug.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We definitely. I look at everything that we take on moving forward as just like, what are we going to challenge ourselves next with?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
What weird thing can we come out with? How can we make this very weird genre more approachable too? Like, then that's probably the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to get people to like get on board with this type of music if they're not already ingrained in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But most people that go and see it live, you know, you have friends that aren't into that kind of music, and most of the time they go see it live, they're like, I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
That's what I tell people. If you don't like metal, go see it live. You'll probably enjoy it. You might not listen to it on your own, but you'll enjoy it live.
Yeah. The energy is the one thing, and then just seeing the passion of you guys up on stage is always another thing too, to know how serious you take it, because you're taking it very serious.
Definitely.
You know, so. All right, well, Nick, I know you got a heart out, so do you want to ask the last question, or do you want to just wrap? Because you got about 8 minutes. If
we
you
got
wanna...
enough time.
Okay.
Real quick though, before I get into my final question, I wanted to ask you guys: when you're writing and you're writing like a 10-minute song, is the goal to be able to play that full 10 minutes?
Oh yeah,
like especially going forward, like we're not like in all elements too, right? We're capturing as much as we can musically.
Yeah.
Are there some omissions between like with either piano or acoustic? Are there things that are getting left out live?
Well, we did this in the Collapsing Lung live. Instead of doing the piano, I just learned to play it on guitar.
Oh, awesome!
So
I love it.
You know, and that was I don't know how you originally wrote it, because the guitar parts for it doesn't make sense. It's such strange chords and stuff like that. But you know, if we do it in the studio, I think it's really important for us to replicate it live.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love to hear that.
Yeah.
And I love that you're writing from an acoustic, because I mean, with all due respect to like power chord driven heavy music, right?
Yeah.
Once you start like forming chords and getting into the top end of the chord structure and giving it all that eerie dissonance, you're just giving so much depth and
for
color.
sure. Yeah.
I think it's really important. I had a great guitar teacher for about a year when I was younger, named Jeremy Balaska, and he's still one of my favorite guitar players in the world. Just a phenomenal. And shout out Jeremy wherever you are. But I mean, he really taught me to use the whole instrument.
Yeah.
You know, you're doing low stuff here and solos here. Well, why not do
The full chord.
Yeah, do the whole thing and add more flavor to it.
Yeah, you've been my teacher for that.
Yeah, and I've also noticed that about your playing as well, Ken. Like listening to it, like you'll just kind of be riffing and all of a sudden be like, like you kind of add it all in there, almost like a blues player might too, where you're kind of playing the normal part, but then you just throw in that small little lead or that little lick on top of it. You know? So
I think it's important to use I like low tuned atonal music too, but just for what we do. think it's important, and we tune to A standard, so we're not just tuning low to get that. I mean, I just like the way that A note. I'm a huge fan of Yob, and they're a band that plays that, and they use the whole guitar, and that was like when I saw them live, I'm like, oh, that's what I want to do.
Hell yeah,
that's what I want to do.
I love that lower tuning. I mean, you can only get certain sounds out of going that low.
Sure.
It's just like, yes, please, but you have to be able to play the whole instrument, because if you're into that like hardcore breakdown and it's just like that A note, that's not really going to do it for me. I need you to be able to find your way there.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Ooh, I got one. So there's this band, what are they, Worm Shepherd? They got one song, because I saw like somebody posted that like sounds like Bleed by Meshuggah.
Oh, sure.
One song called Hunger. Goes hard as fuck.
There you go.
That's like Jim's song right there.
Hell yeah.
Pull up the Word document, because I do like, I put these in a document every time. Maybe one day I'll do something with it, but I don't want to sit here and say.
Is that their newest song?
All right, so
because they got like a new singer, and I've listened to those guys before. Me personally, it wasn't really for me, just because the singer sang too much, and that shit drives me up the fucking wall. But I don't know how the new song is. I just I listened to their last.
It's a whole new
EP,
album.
One more time, what was it, John?
Hunger, Worm Shepherd.
Hunger by Worm Shepherd.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Got anything chill?
Anything chill?
You listen to anything chill?
Yeah,
my chill shit is like usually like ZZ Top, Pink Floyd, or like
got something different in this. Yeah, so that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it down though. ZZ Top, Pink Floyd. Why not? Those are classics. Kids ought to listen to that.
Yeah. ZZ Top is like big time, like, because like there was a period of time like maybe like a year and a half ago where I was like really depressed, and I was listening to like a lot of like Dimmu Borgir and
can't relate
like black metal shit, and then I put on ZZ Top, and I was just like, my life is now way better.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
All right, who's up next? What are we listening to?
I
Dave?
really like the band Woerner. I don't know if you guys, Vulnere. They've got a short EP and then a longer LP out. Just like I basically tried to steal that drummer's snare sound.
Okay.
It's really angular, very, very nasty, like tech death stuff, but like human sounding tech death, if that makes sense,
Yeah. Human by Death.
Yeah, exactly. I really love that band. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the band Sadness. It's just a one-person black metal band. They've got like a 20-minute long song called In a Memory, and that is like, I've literally listened to that single song like dozens and dozens and dozens of times.
Nice.
It's just something I can, because it's like emo-y and doomy and black metal-y, like the perfect shit to put on like a snowy or rainy day.
Yeah. Sounds like the band Alcest from
Sure.
France.
Definitely
Okay.
like
Alcest. Some shoegaze black metal.
Totally.
Cool.
And then for like chill shit, I'm a huge fan of Grouper.
Okay.
That's just one gal, Liz Harris. She's I think Australian, but it's like, I would describe it as like mopey dream folk. So it's like drenched in reverb. She like layers her voice like 7 or 8 times over, and then we'll do like piano or guitar. Very beautiful stuff. Really nice.
Nice. Cool. Like it. New
Cody?
stuff to me. Kent?
Oh, me? Oh, shit.
Or
I don't know. I don't listen to a lot. I've kind of gotten out of touch with a lot of, I guess, popular metal that's not local.
It doesn't have to be new. It's just what are you listening to now? You can go back. Like it can be Injustice. I don't care. Like
I've been listening to a lot of local. I mean, we saw If He Dies, He Dies last week. I'd never seen them before.
Okay.
We saw them at Latchkey Church. Fucking blew my mind.
Yeah,
They're
they're
super
fucking
good.
sweet, dude.
It's not often that I flock to a merch table after I see a band, but I gave them my last $10 or $20 for this beanie. They were really good. What?
Dead Hour Noise.
I was gonna.
Yeah,
gonna say,
buddy.
Fucking Dead Hour Noise.
Yeah,
and,
buddy.
Holy shit.
On my personal video stuff, I collab with Dead Hour Noise this summer, so I have something cool coming out with them
That's gonna
next
be really
year.
dope.
Dead Hour, and he worked on that as well.
If you can see them live, man.
Fuck yeah.
Cool guys
they
too.
rip. And
They're really sweet. Yeah, they're really kind people, but I mean, like,
I'll have to get them on the show.
Dead Hour Noise is
from?
great. Lansing.
Okay.
They're a 3-piece like kind of mathcore band. The guitar player and drummer are also in this band called Anvil Crawler, which we have booked
Also
on a
great.
Kalamazoo show coming up in February.
yes.
Been listening to a lot of them lately. That Lucius Fox, one with the riverbed, all
I
that
mean,
kind
come
of
on.
stuff.
Lucius
I've
Fox,
been
come
jamming
on.
all of them. As far as like chill stuff goes, I love like old Western music. I'm a big fan of like Sons of the Pioneers and like Riders in the Sky, that kind of goofy cowboy music and old country. So it's pretty much always on my docket at home.
Okay, it's cool.
Yeah,
I love it. It's the acoustic element.
yeah.
Cody,
For me,
music.
when I think of like the heavy music that I've been listening to a lot, I keep going back to like those incredible performances that like just stay in your head. And then of course those bands also put out great records. So right now it's oftentimes between like Gideon,
cool band,
great guys, super pleasant like people to talk to. I've seen them a few times. Big fan of them. And then Kubla Khan, like
Texas.
Yeah, just going from that like I am kind of in my like beatdown era, like to quote Taylor Swift.
Shit, yeah,
she's gonna come out with her beatdown record, and I'll be listening to it too. But when I think of like chill though, I kind of go back to the same bands over and over again. Like I love pop punk and like that post emo. I'm a huge fan of Silverstein. I think I just
had a dream that I played with Silverstein the other day. I played bass and I was out of tune the whole time.
They definitely inspired me lyrically to like even get into music in the first place, and from there, like it feels like home. And like A Day to Remember is like my go-to. Like I just want to like hang out type of music. But if I'm getting like real chill, it's oftentimes like Hozier. Like just get real chill. Like I could just sleep to this.
I love it. I listened to all of that. Well, I'm not as well versed with the Silverstein, but A Day to Remember had one that I was riding on for like 2 years, and then Hozier as well. Good stuff when it comes up.
All right, fellas. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Really happy to be here.
You guys fucking rule. Keep doing your thing and keep, living up to being the slug children that you are.
Hell yeah.
Because I really enjoy it. We're all about the extreme metal on here, and there's a time and place and effort for everything that you guys do. You guys get some new shit, some new shows or whatever. Come on back on the show. The door's always open.
Hell yeah, dude.
Appreciate you. Shit you want to talk about or whatever. And with that being said, much love, you guys. Keep it metal.
Hell yeah.
Go listen to Slugchild.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Peace. Thank you so much for checking out the episode. Be sure to hit that like button and give us a share.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed our podcast today, please give it a rating on your streaming service to help us gain some exposure.
And if you really enjoyed the show, please give us a follow or hit that subscribe button and come hang out with us every week. And remember, keep it metal.